An update on the conditions facing small business. Now, we all know how tough small business did it during COVID, but it's going to be a tough year for many of the smaller businesses. Inflation, we know from figures released yesterday, is at a 33-year high. Don't need to tell anyone watching how much prices have gone up on everything, including, food and drink and energy prices. Households are cutting costs wherever they can. Prices of power have gone through the roof. Food's dearer. Interest rates will probably get jacked up again next month. And I noticed yesterday, I don't know about you, but plenty of hospitality businesses right around Australia, and I was in Melbourne, didn't even bother to open their doors yesterday because of the high cost of penalty rates they're forced to pay. And anything you bought yesterday had a 15% surcharge on it because of the wages that people are forced to pay. Bill Lang is the Executive Director of the Small Business Australia Group, joins me now. Bill, lots of places didn't open yesterday, and I guess you put that down to penalty rates and not being able to pay them?
Yeah, g'day, Steve. Look, that's exactly right. And one thing for many of us to realise is we've still got 1 in 2 small businesses across the country that are not making a profit. So they're either breaking even, or in the case of 1 in 5, they're making a loss. So that means they're continuing to dig in to the family's savings, perhaps having to borrow more money to actually keep the doors open. So you take something like a public holiday, you've got penalty rates, you've got consumers uncertain about the future with a whole range of their living expenses going up. And in many cases, the business owners have to say, look, it's not going to be worth being open to lose more money faster on a public holiday.
You talk to a lot of small business. What is their main concern? I mentioned their power prices. Obviously, if you're running any sort of business that is power intensive, that's going to kill you every day of the week. You've got interest rates, obviously. We always talk about mortgages, don't we, Bill? But why don't we ever talk about small businesses that have got a loan to operate? What's their biggest concern, do you think, for 2023?
Well, look, Steve, businesses are different in terms of where they're located. Those that are in the flood areas, absolute survival is their biggest issue, and getting government support, getting things cleaned up and being able to get people and customers back for those businesses. For others that are actually, got a shortage of staff, and so the family members have been working absolutely crazy hours to keep the doors open. It's getting some more, talented, skilled workers into the country and able to work. But there's no question that the combination of energy prices, the cost of money, so interest rates in terms of, particularly if you're a borrowing business, but of course, if consumers are having to pay more of their income out in interest rate and other cost of living expenses, they've got less to spend. So industries that are about discretionary expenditure, so things like entertainment, things like hospitality, things like retailing, in many respects, they're going to be under a significant pressure with respect to some of the customers not turning up, yet the expenses in operating those businesses are going up.
And the other problem, I guess, and we've had this ever since we shut the borders in the country during those dreadful dark days of COVID, those 2 years, the other problem is finding any staff. I mean, is that situation improved at all in 2023?
Look, the latest research that we've done shows that over the last 3 months, it's been pretty stable. There's about 29% of businesses, almost 1 in 3, are having a lot of trouble in filling positions, particularly hospitality and the logistics industries. Then we've got a number of these businesses now that they are downsizing and they're looking for ways of reducing their costs. Because what everyone has to realise, when a small business owner's costs go up and when they're unable to increase their prices to sort of cover that increase in costs, that's a pay cut for small business families. And there's a couple of million of small business families around the country that, if they're not making a profit, there's 1 million of them now not making a profit, continuing to eat into their savings, borrowing more money, or in the event that they're going to have to take a pay cut themselves because they're going to make less profit, that has a significant impact on their ability to continue to contribute to their local communities and employ people. And I think it's been, one of the things, Steve, and many viewers of your program and listeners to your programs have really supported local businesses and buying local. And I'd say to everyone, look, if you can afford to spend some money, if you have to even pay a little bit more, please get out there and continue to support the small business families of Australia.
Yeah, I tip my hat to anyone who's brave enough to start and maintain a small business. Bill Lang, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, mate. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.